Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Light Your Dream Team monthly training Zoom live call, and it will be recorded. And everything goes well, we'll have that downloaded to put up on our Light Your Dream YouTube channel. So if you don't know, we do have a YouTube channel with all of our recorded trainings, as well as a training website for you to view it again, and also share with your team members as you start to build a Mia Bella business. All right. So what we're going to do tonight is go over some of the information that a few of us have been doing on our book club. I think it's been really beneficial. So thank you for those that have gotten on the calls live with Allison and I to discuss the information. The books that the information is coming from is based off of Sarah Robbins' The Multiply Method. And the first few chapters are dealing with prospecting or inviting people to take a look, presenting or sharing the information, and then thirdly, closing or overcoming objections, and then a couple of final takeaways. So the first aspect of building your business is that you need to be presenting the information, inviting others to take a look. So one aspect would be reaching out by initiating conversations in person or online. And, we do always believe that in person has more personal touch. And if you're able to do that, that's really the best way to be communicating with people versus online. But of course, that is also a very viable method, and especially if you're communicating with those that aren't local to you. But the objective really is about, connecting with old friends and making new friends. Okay, so the idea is that you need to build a connection. You're creating a deeper, authentic relationship with the person. And initially, you may not be mentioning anything about your business at all. You're just getting to know each other, building trust, building a relationship. And then, as they get to know you, then they may either initiate information or questioning to you about what it is that you do, or the time will be right where you're able to kind of listen to the clues. What is somebody saying? It needs to be a heartfelt listening of their needs, and then showing, sales is always about a problem. Somebody has a problem, and the company that you represent, whether it's a service or a product, is an opportunity to solve that problem for the person. So that's what you're listening for. You're waiting for the time to be right after listening to these clues where you might be able to share. So you're not being salesy and upfront. You really want to prioritize the people over the product, and relationship over revenue. Again, it's about the relationship and not necessarily making money, because you will make money when you do it right. When you build the relationship and build your team and build your business, the money will come. Okay, so it's about connecting. That's the first C in the process. So you do want to be genuine, pay compliments. So if you've seen somebody in person or again online, find something positive to say about the person, but it needs to be genuine and not fake and forced. And if you're really paying attention, it's not hard to be able to find something genuine to compliment somebody or ask them questions about. So it really comes down to being a good listener and not a good talker. So when we say that, we don't want you to be a salesy salesperson, that's somebody that, gets up and just talk. We don't want you to do that. We want you to be a listener, be more interested in the other person than yourself. And she kind of used that acronym there, TINY. So be more interested in their interest, not yours. So if you're always keeping that in the back of your mind, not how is this going to benefit me, but what does my product, what does my company have to offer the other person? Okay. Connecting what it's not. It's not about sending impersonal, unsolicited messages to strangers through, Facebook, direct messaging. And I'm sure that's happened to all of us, where you get somebody out of the blue that you don't know. Sometimes it's a total stranger. You don't know them at all. It might be somebody else that maybe you've had a slight relationship with, and then they just jump in and start asking you about joining their business without even basically saying, hey, how you doing? Can we catch up? Okay, so it's not about doing it that way. Starting the relationship by mentioning your business first. Okay, that's not what we're doing. And then not taking no as an answer. That's not what connecting is about, and I've had that too, where people have prospected me and I've said, no, thank you, I'm not interested. I'm focused on my candle business and that's all. And then they keep coming at you again and again. And that's not the way that we want to build our businesses. It's never going to be a long-term, long-lasting prospect when you do that. And it just seems icky when you come at people that way. Okay, so that's not what we're asking you to do. Okay. The second part of the C's is the compliment. So you're going to start with a congratulations on a personal achievement. Okay, so again, if that's online, you're looking through your friends' threads, and maybe they've just got a promotion at work, or maybe they just had a baby, or whatever it is. You're paying attention to them and their lives, and find something that you can congratulate them on, something positive that you noticed about their life events. That's going to be your primary focus. Okay, and then the conversation. And you want to ask open-ended questions in order to get the prospect to communicate with you. It's they are going to give you clues, and remember, that's kind of one of the primary things that we're looking for is the clues. If you ask a simple yes/no question, it's too easy for somebody to say yeah, and then what did you gain from that? Nothing. So you want to ask open-ended questions. Let them talk about themselves. See if you can discover what their dreams, desires, and goals are. Listen, engage, and be curious about them. Focus on getting to know them, and then try to figure out, what part of your business will benefit them. So if you're noticing that they're talking, again, whether these are in-person relationships or online relationships, what are people saying? What are they talking about? Boy, I wish I could. Well, it would be really great if. So figure out what their goals are, what their dreams are, what the problem is, and how you can solve it with your business. Okay, and at this point, still, you're not doing that yet. You're not presenting the business information. You're still just building the relationship. Okay, and then the third C is connection. So only after you've built this rapport will you start to connect the conversation to your business. Okay, so be patient for the right time. Don't force it too quickly, because then you just turn people off. Then they don't want to join you, because then it becomes obvious to them that you're only were interested in trying to prospect them into your business, and that you didn't really have a genuine concern for them as a person. So that's really important, that you wait for the right time. And then when it is, then you can share what you are excited about building with your business. But don't make it all about you. Again, you want to share how you're able to help them with what you have, with either your product or your business. How can you help them? And then, a good way of getting feedback and communication from the prospect is to ask their opinion. If they've tried a Mia Bella candle, ask them, have you burned one? What did you think? And when you get positive feedback, we know that most people are going to say, gosh, I loved it. It really is a different kind of candle. That gives you clues to kind of be able to, proceed forward. Okay. So this is a method that was presented about making a connection with people that you don't know. And this may take some practice, and it may be little baby steps that you do one thing one time and you weren't comfortable proceeding to the next step, and that's okay. You've got to give yourself credit for every little baby step that you take. So especially if you're someone that's not real comfortable talking to people in public, like me, we got Tracy on the call there. She's really good at talking to people in public. So it's just a matter of building that practice. So say that you do see, a store clerk, or, there's a service provider that's come into your home to do something, fix your internet or whatever. Or maybe, you're out at the park with the kids and you're sitting around with a bunch of moms. So people that you may not really know, but that you're encountering in a live in-person situation. Again, it's still going to go back to those 3 C's. You're going to compliment. So you can say to the store clerk, thanks for your great service today. You've been so very helpful, and I really appreciate that. And then a little conversation. And again, you're going to always have to judge, if there's 25 people standing in line and this, poor young lady is the only one there, maybe that's not the moment to do it. But you always want to be conscious of opportunity. And so, like I said, maybe that time you just made yourself aware that this is a situation where maybe you could present something. And then the next time that you do go out, you'll get a little bit closer to actually trying to have a conversation. And then, then the next time, maybe you get even a little bit more bold to maybe hand them, a sample. So it's okay to take those, baby steps. So say that, you've got somebody that appears to have a little bit of time to maybe have a conversation with you. Again, we're not going into details. We're just going to give a quick little, again, asking about them, how long have you been doing this? Is this your full-time work? You're really good at this. Is this something that you plan on making a career of? And then you can connect by providing that sample. So ask if you can connect on social media so you can find out what they thought about the sample. And I think that's a really good approach these days. It's not like, I guess it's twofold in that in the environment that we live in, it can be kind of scary if somebody's asking you for your contact information. So if somebody comes up and wants to hand you something and say, hey, can I have your phone number? That's going to be kind of scary to people and they may not want to do that. But, everybody's on social media and it doesn't matter which platform that you use. Again, if you're kind of new to it, pick one platform and kind of work that. It doesn't matter, but you can, easily say, hey, I'd like to give you this sample again. I've really appreciated the help that you've provided for me today. And I just want to give you this little gift. Hey, are you on social media? Maybe we can connect that way. And if you have like a QR code on your business card that leads to, say, the candle drawing, you could certainly encourage them to use that code on their phone and enter the candle drawing. That provides you their contact information. Or again, if you're kind of able to take a little bit of time with the person, you can certainly pull out your phone, go to Facebook and show them like, here I am. Let's friend each other and then maybe we can stay in touch. I can see what you thought about the sample. So that's a little bit less intimidating than asking for somebody's phone number and address. Okay. Now the main goal is always to make new friends. And if you're doing that and you're having fun, then everything else will fall into place. But if you have that mindset of I gotta get, then you're not having fun and you're not making friends. Okay. So not everyone that you use this method with will become a customer or a business partner, but you may end up with a new friend. And there are seriously people that are on my Facebook friend group that were a lead, from a lead source, a program, some advertising that I did like 10 years ago. And, we connected on social media and they're still on there and we talk and communicate. And I bet they don't even remember that they actually came to me as a lead at one point, and they never joined my business. But, maybe they will at some point once they see, the information that I do share. Okay. And we really, really have to remember that a no is not a personal rejection. Okay. It's just a personal choice. It's not something against you or your product or the way that you present it. So you can't beat yourself up and, after an encounter and think, oh, I should have, I didn't, next time, it's okay. Any steps that you take, you got to be, proud of yourself and reward yourself for it. But if somebody tells you no, it's okay. And I remember this from 25 years ago when I had kind of heard the example of a waitress offering a table coffee. I never used to be a coffee drinker. And when a waitress would ask me, would you care for coffee? I would say, no, thank you. And it wasn't a rejection of her or the restaurant. I just wasn't a coffee drinker and it wasn't something that I wanted. So that's okay. Not every person is going to be our ideal customer or business partner. But the goal is to find just a few who will do. And this can build a substantial business for you. It doesn't take a whole army. It just takes a few people that are really doing the same things that you're doing to build a really nice monthly income with residual income that goes on month after month. Okay, and the hardest thing is don't prejudge anyone or their potential intent. Your job is just to share the information, and their job is to decide. Okay, so it's really easy to think, oh, they aren't going to be interested. I can't see how they, with their busy life, with what they're doing, with whatever, they won't be interested. Don't prejudge because you just never know. Okay. If they tell you no, then it's okay to ask for referrals of who they think that might be interested in your products or your business. So maybe somebody can't burn candles for whatever reason. So asking for a referral, maybe they have a friend or a cousin that's, an absolute candle lover that maybe they could refer to you. Maybe the business right now isn't right for them. Maybe they just had a baby and they're just overwhelmed with, trying to just get through every day. But they have again a friend, a coworker, somebody that they knew that would like to have a second method of income. So it's okay and a good idea to ask for referrals. If not them, then who do they know? Okay, and then don't hesitate to ask the right person before someone else does. You don't want to have regrets. And in the book, she told several stories about that, where people would come up with somebody in mind to think, oh, they would be so good at this business. I would love to ask them. But, you kind of think, well, they're out of your league, or they just wouldn't be interested. And then later to find out that somebody did ask them, they got the courage to ask that right person. That right person said, yeah, I do want to do this. And then you're left feeling, oh, if only I had presented the information. It's not your job to ensure and mandate that somebody joins you. It's just, you got to share the information and let them decide. Okay. So this is the second part then, is presenting or sharing the information. And the best way to do this, again, was with the focus on the prospect and making it short. A 15-minute presentation, especially in today's world with social media and everything. We're in the microwave society. Nobody wants to sit around and listen to, an hour and a half presentation, but it's 15 minutes. And being conversational, it doesn't require a script, which makes it easier for you. It's not something that you have to remember. Oh gosh, okay, I got to say number one, I got to say this. Number two, okay, I got to remember. No, it's about having a conversation. Again, just listening to the person, making friends. You're not hard selling them. Okay. And when you do this, whatever you do with your prospects, you're already training them once they do become a team member. Okay, when they see how easy it was with you, just having conversation and sharing information, you're demonstrating or modeling to them how simple it is. Okay. Now, the best way to present is to share stories. Okay. And luckily with us, with our candle, we don't have to get into a lot of jumbo about the ingredients. And, when you take this product for 3 times a day, it's going to do this or that. And, we don't have to make metal claims. It's so simple. It's a candle. So you just want to, in your presentation, or again, in your sharing, why you joined. What's your story? Why did you become a candle representative? And then the second part is, what the company is doing. What's the company story? And then the third, who you're looking for. And then you want to then connect their story to your business. That's, again, where if you've been listening and paying attention to somebody that has a need, that's when you can connect your business to helping them. Okay, so once you've kind of, done those 3 parts of sharing your story, the company story, and asking who this might be good for, you can do that. Who do you know that this would be great for? And see what kind of response. Some of them are going to say, hey, I'm interested in learning more. Tell me a little bit about that. Or again, they may say, hey, I got a neighbor that's been talking about wanting to do something like this. Okay. So the why piece of it is, tell me what excites you about this opportunity. So again, you're going to the person. What is it that excites you, excites them about the opportunity? And then just asking, what would you like to learn more about? You don't want to be talking to somebody about something that they don't have an interest in. That's where that active listening comes in. to what they've been, sharing with you all along in the process, they're going to offer you their why. And if you're paying attention, you're going to know how then to connect your business to their needs. You're going to tailor your presentation to what's important to them, and then skip the things that are not, because it's not going to be useful for you or them to be talking about a bunch of stuff they have no interest in. So figure out what it is that they want to learn more about. Okay. And while we want the focus to be on them, it's still okay to give, again, your story. You tell them, what the business has done for you, and using these exact terms, in part-time hours, the business has allowed me to, and then fill in the blank. And you really want this to be pretty simple, relatable stories. It's not, if you became a millionaire and you went and bought an island, those are all good, but that's probably not going to be really realistic or relatable to your prospect. They want to know simple things in life. So don't worry about not having a big, fantastic story. You want to focus on the meaning over the money. So instead of, if somebody's asking you, well, how much do you make? It's not a matter of giving, dollar amounts, but it's what has the business, what has the money that you've earned from the business afforded you to do? When I started, my daughter was just born, and I was able to stay home with her for the first 14 years of her life because of the money that I made in my business. Okay, so that's the meaning. Focus on the meaning over the money. So instead of evaluating your income, they are evaluating the impact the business has had on your life. Okay, and then the what is the sharing of the company's story. What sets our company apart? And we should all know that this is a natural wax candle. This is not a paraffin candle. We're not like every store-bought candle. So you have to show that to them. Explain the story of why we're different, what makes our products unique, what makes our company unique, and that it's, family owned. That's kind of a rarity these days, that, we have a CEO and his family who is readily available to us. So those are the kinds of stories that you want to share. Share their rewards plan. And again, it's not going through, well, if you have this many, personally sponsored, then you're going to earn 10% on your first level. And if you do this, it's 2.5% on your third level. You don't really do it that way. But, you want to show how you get paid, which means that you can get paid for selling the product. You can get paid for doing, custom labels with businesses. You can get paid by doing fundraising, and you can get paid by sponsoring others into the company. Okay. And then share the team's story. We have a very unique team. You are provided a lot of training, twice a month training, recorded training, websites. So there's a lot of support and training that's offered to the new person. So show them that they're going to have support and not be expected to do this, on their own. And then, share about the timing. Right now is a great time to get involved in the candle business. I had started in the month of October. This is when people are interested, because the weather's getting cooler. People are burning candles, but also then there's that thought of the holidays are approaching, and what a great way to purchase your holiday gifts that you're going to be giving is from your own store. But then also, with the ability to make some money so that you're going to be able to have a nice Christmas, nice holiday. Okay, so you're selling 3 things. And again, we don't really want to use the word selling. We're not hard selling, but you're sharing. You're sharing 3 things: the product, the opportunity, and the team. When you put all those things together, then it becomes very enticing to somebody to want to learn, more about it. So the who. So you got to figure out who you're talking to, and offer them that we're looking for people that love our fragrance products, and for people to enroll with our fast-growing and fun team who will profit by sharing it with others. So that's a good, quick little 1 sentence. If you can memorize that, we're looking for people that like fragrances, that, want to make some money just by simply sharing that with others. Okay. So you can, ask them, who do you know that the products or the business would be great for? So you'll notice that all of these steps are not necessarily only directed to getting a business prospect. It can be the same steps and process for attracting a customer. So again, when you're listening, you can share that there's 3 ways to be involved. Okay, you can be a retail customer. You can be a preferred customer where we get 20% savings on our Cent Saver program, or you can be a business partner with up to 50% savings with the monthly bundle and the ability to make money. Which do you see yourself doing? Okay, use what they told you about their why earlier as a clue. So if somebody is talking about just loving to have a fantastic smelling home, and that's kind of the only thing that they're, giving you clues to, then, maybe it's the preferred customer program then that you're offering. If somebody's telling you I'm looking to earn money for a trip, or my daughter's competition dance, I need to be able to pay all of those dance bills. Well, then you have that business opportunity to present to them. So it's nothing wrong with giving them the 3 options and then asking, which do you see yourself doing? And let them answer that for you. Okay. We got lots to go through here still, and we're getting close on time. If we run out and it cuts off, I'll finish the recording and then I'll do the rest of it on another recording with the objections at the end. But the ways that you can present it is 3 ways. You utilize your sponsor or upline leaders, use their experience to answer questions, and show social proof that others are doing this and succeeding. It's really powerful when you involve a group. Others are doing it. We have the same training and the support for them as well. So 3 ways can be through a phone call with your sponsor, a text, an email, a messenger, or you can even do a live, FaceTime. Okay, you can do live events utilizing local in-person meetings sponsored by the company, like when Bob and Michael went out on their tour last year. You can invite them to the team Facebook Live, every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on our business page. We do a live presentation. And then the company has done live presentations with top leaders in the past as well. So this is using the tools. You don't have to know the information. You just have to invite somebody to share it so that they come to the live event or the recordings to learn the information. So again, inviting prospects to the team Facebook page where we have posts every day. Allison and I post on that page about information about the products and the business. Okay. We also have a team business prospecting website that you can share. It gives a kind of a quick, nice overview of the products and the business. So you can direct your prospects there to read about it. If you don't have personal websites yourself, you can use the team. Okay. And then also, as I mentioned, we have a YouTube training channel for the team, but we also have prospecting videos. So you can pull any one of those, and they're usually about 15-minute overviews and stories that you can share the link with somebody that's interested. Okay, so keep sharing and don't quit. Okay, you can find financial achievement in 1 to 5 to 10 years, but there is a catch. You will encounter challenges and you will consider quitting. We all have. Okay? So then you have 2 choices. You can quit and never achieve your why, or you can keep going. No matter what, no matter how long it takes, you will then achieve your why. Okay, but success does take time. It's going to take effort. It takes commitment and it takes persistence. Okay, you will have to be willing to work through these growing pains, but just know that it's not unusual when you start to feel discouraged, thinking it's not going as fast as you, or you start comparing yourself with others. We've all been there. But the idea is you got to fight through that, okay? And then she kind of gave one of the examples of somebody that had become very successful, in fact, built $1 million business. And it started with showing the presentation, to 1,200 people over the years. 900 said no, 300 enrolled. 85 of those did something with the business. 35 of those were curious enough to actually go and build something. And then only 11 of those 35 were serious enough to really commit to it and build themselves and build, $1 million business. So it takes a lot of numbers to get through. Not everyone that you offer to present the information to is going to say yes, and they're not going to say it immediately. but you got to get through the numbers. So you got to be willing to work it. But on the other end is a lot of success and a lot of money to be made. Okay, then the last part is the closing or overcoming objections. So closing is really assessing interest and asking for the order or the enrollment. And there's a 5-step system. So you want to identify their interest. You know, do they mention themselves when you ask them, who do you think this would be great for? You know, assess which of the programs they would have an interest in. You know, is it the business, or maybe is it just the preferred customer program, or just being a retail customer? So you need to identify their interest and then provide the information based on that interest. So inform them of the benefits of each of these options and then how to buy or enroll. And you can share any specials, discounts, anything that might be going on that might encourage them to do it a little bit faster. So you do want to kind of create urgency and ask, you know, are you ready to get started with whatever choice? Get started with the preferred customer program. Let's get you enrolled so you start getting your 20% off of your products. And if not today, then you want to share the next step, which again, you want to really use the tools. So you're using the team web page, the team Facebook business page, or a live overview or a recorded link. Okay, that's how you're providing the information. It's not that you have to know all of the answers, but you have to know where to send them to get the information. Okay, and then encourage them to write down questions as they are exploring the information so you'll be able to address those later. And then you never leave an interaction without setting up or scheduling the next contact. So if you've said, okay, I see that you're not quite ready, you need more information, I'd like you to watch this video, here's the link, and then, you know, ask them when they think that they'll have time to have watched it, and then you're going to follow up after that. Okay, so you're going to let them know about the next contact. And follow up, that's the key. And that's where usually all of us fall down, is we get pretty good at the others and then we don't follow up. You need to be able to answer their questions and ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, how interested are you in joining us? And if they say 1, not at all, then, you know, you can inquire if they know anyone else might be interested, or that's when they just may become a retail customer. If they say 5-ish, somewhere in the middle there, then maybe they are ready to make a purchase and see if they're wanting to enroll in the Cent Saver program. If you get somebody up there at 10, then great, they're ready to join, start their candle business, then enroll them now, get it done. Anything under 10 means that they still have unanswered questions to be addressed. So it doesn't mean, no, I'm not going to do this. But if they don't say 10, I'm ready, then it just means that they have some additional information that they need to know about. So that's your job, to provide some additional tools or additional follow-up. And so part of that is just always be closing. You're going to repeat those steps again. Okay, you're going to provide more information, follow up, answer questions, ask for the enrollment until they determine that either they're not interested and thank you for providing the information, but I just don't see this as being something for me, or yes, I've got all my questions answered, I'm ready to do this. Okay. And then 5, enroll them. You know, share with them the recommendation for the enrollment package, kind of based on what they told you and maybe their budget. Go over the monthly bundle option for them. So have them pick out those 2 packages that they're going to do. Remind them of the support and training that they're going to receive from the team and the company. And then share the next steps after they've completed their enrollment. And we do have training on our team site about how to be a good sponsor. And I did mention the other day in the training group, we have pre-written email that you can send out to them. Again, you don't have to write them. You just have to put them in either a system or in your own email and send it out. That gives them information about how to do it. Okay, let's see. I think I'm going to go ahead and stop at this point, and then I'll do another recording on common objections, because I don't think we'll have enough time to get through the whole rest of the presentation. So I'll do that as a separate recording. But this is really good to have in advance. What are the typical things that people are going to say to you, and be prepared with some answers. But remember then that, you know, objections are a good thing. Don't take it as a negative. That means that they're still listening and they're still wanting more information from you. When people stop asking questions, then that means they've stopped engaging and they stop being interested. So I think mentally the two most important things to kind of remember is that not everybody you talk to is going to say yes. And if they don't want to do the business, very good chances are though that they'll be a customer. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. As I said, and then we'll finish the rest of it on a different recording. One moment here.